On this episode of Just Informed Talk, Q addresses Valerie Jarrett and Anthony Weiner's email situation specifically. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. I always like to thank all my subscribers. Thank you for hitting that button. If you haven't already, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you tap the bell for notifications to be notified when these videos get posted. As always, if you guys want to catch up to where we're at, this is where we are today, this is where we were in the last video, I encourage you to come back here to the landing page. Watch these videos. They're going to catch you up to where we're at. And if you're scratching your head going, what's QAnon? Watch this video and share this video on your social media if you want to get your friends to know what it is as well. So today we're going to start basically with this YouTube video so you guys can sit back and watch it. It's a clip from Maria Bartiromo's show with Devin Nunes. So I'm going to show this to you real quick.
A closed-door interview with Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein this upcoming week. This follows new revelations in the congressional probe into the Department of Justice's handling of the investigation into the 2016 Trump campaign. Last week, former top FBI official James Baker reportedly told investigators there was another source feeding information to the FBI before the agency launched a probe of the Trump campaign. Republicans are calling it a bombshell.
Some of the things that were shared were explosive in nature. I mean, I couldn't believe that I was hearing some of the testimony that here in the United States that the DOJ and FBI were involved with.
During the time prior to the election, there was another source giving information directly to the FBI, which we found the source to be pretty explosive.
And this additional source, he's being identified as Michael Sussman, a former DOJ prosecutor with links to the Democratic National Committee. Sources say he reached out to the FBI to provide documents on Russian hacking. I'm back now with House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes. And Mr. Chairman, connect the dots for us to tell us why this is important here. We know that you've been investigating the origin of this investigation that took place into Trump and Russia collusion, which of course was never existent. So tell us why this James Baker news is important.
Well, it's very simple. James Baker was the top lawyer at the FBI, reported directly to James Comey. Numerous officials at the DOJ and the FBI have told us under oath that the FBI, nobody at FBI or DOJ knew anything about the Democratic Party being behind the Clinton dirt. Well, now you have one of the top lawyers for the Democrats and the Clinton campaign who was feeding information directly to the top lawyer at the FBI before even the FISA warrant. So now you have absolute proof that that wasn't told to the FISA court. So you want your evidence of FISA abuse? There it is right there. A secret warrant was placed on an American citizen during a political campaign, and yet the FBI did not tell the court that they were getting this information directly from the opponent of that campaign. And this is really bad stuff. It's very simple. I mean, you just had it's not complicated. People should know it's probably not appropriate for a top lawyer of the Democratic Party to take dirt and give it to the top lawyer at the FBI.
And once again, they did not tell the FISA judge when they were looking to get that FISA warrant to wiretap Carter Page because he was on the Trump campaign. They did not tell the FISA judge that the information was coming from the DNC.
That is correct. And not only that, you also have that many officials have told us numerous times that they had no idea where it's coming from. And don't forget, you had originally the story from FBI and DOJ was that Republicans had started this information and given this information, and that has been totally blown out of the water. Republicans had nothing to do with it, and the top levels of the FBI absolutely knew this, right? I mean, you can't possibly argue that the top lawyer for the FBI meets with the top lawyer for the Democratic Party and just doesn't tell anyone. And so then you fast forward 4 months later, when they come and present the information to Congress, they say, well, we believe that Republicans were behind this. No, Republicans were never behind it. You knew the whole time who was behind it, the Democrats were, and it was so explosive and so damaging that that's why they didn't want us to know. And this is why the President of the United States has got to declassify the information we've been asking for. If he doesn't declassify it, he's going to let these criminals, this criminal activity and fraudulent behavior People are going to get away with it if this information is not declassified so that all the American people
Well,
can
you're
see.
4 weeks away. 4 weeks away from the midterm elections. Is he going to declassify before the midterm elections? I mean, this seems to be a critical piece of information that the American people need to know.
Well, look, he ordered it done. He
Yeah.
ordered it done 3 weeks ago. He said he was ordering immediately with no redactions. And then what happened? A few days later, you had Rod Rosenstein convene all the top people, okay, the same people that are involved in that signed the FISA, that have been blocking Congress from getting information. They all met with the president and told the president that we can't do it because allies might get concerned. You can't buy any of this from these guys.
So you have a meeting, or Rod Rosenstein is going to be meeting with lawmakers next week. Tell us what you're expecting from this meeting from Rod Rosenstein next week. You already interviewed Andrew McCabe. Does what McCabe said jive with what Rosenstein has told you?
Well, this is going to be the real question, right? You had the he said, she said, one in the New York Times where McCabe's people said that definitely Rod Rosenstein was wanting to wear a wire to go in and secretly record the President of the United States so that they could use the 25th Amendment to remove him. I mean, that's a bombshell of a claim, right? If you really had the Deputy Attorney General who's in charge of the Russia investigation, who appointed the special counsel willing to go do that. Now, in the Washington Post, you kind of had I didn't really say that. It seems like it was coming from Rosenstein and the Department of Justice's people. I really didn't say that. I was just joking. Now, I don't believe that's a joke. I don't think it's something you would joke about.
Yeah.
You know, pretty serious stuff that you say, I'm going to wear a wire and go in and secretly record the President of the United States.
Yeah. Does Rod Rosenstein have a problem?
Well, I think it all comes down to whether or not he was willing to wear a wire or not. If he was willing to wear a wire and secretly record the president, Maria, it's someplace that this country's never been before. I don't know of any time in the history of this country where you had people who are at the top levels of government conspiring to secretly record a president so that you can trap the president into being able to go after the 25th Amendment to remove the president. That's serious stuff.
Yeah, so you're going to talk about that with Rosenstein next week. Anything else we should expect from this meeting when he heads to Capitol Hill?
Well, I think those are going to be the questions that have to be answered by Rosenstein. He needs to tell us really what he meant by this joke of willingness to wear a wire. And don't forget that this is a very important point. When Rosenstein appointed the special counsel, the lead investigators knew that there was no evidence of the Trump campaign colluding with the Russians. So what has the special counsel been doing this whole time? It really looks like it's pretty clear now that it is an investigation in search of a crime. Because the very thing the Trump campaign was investigated for, colluding with Russians, we now know that it was the Democratic Party colluding with Russians and feeding it to the top levels of the FBI, the general counsel of the FBI.
In any way? I mean, are you calling for Mueller's investigation to be shut down as a result of what you just said?
Well, I don't want the investigation to be shut down. What I want the investigation to do is determine who leaked the Flynn conversations, who leaked General Flynn's conversations. I want them to investigate that. I want them to investigate who was behind Fusion GPS, who was Fusion GPS talking to, what Russians were they talking to, who was Christopher Steele talking to. I want to know all the Russians that Fusion GPS interviewed, got information from, funneled into the Democrat Party, and then the Democratic Party funneled it to the FBI to open an investigation. That's what the Mueller investigation should be looking at.
So there you have it. I mean, obviously, what Devin Nunes is saying, he's laying it all out. He's laying out every single detail and constructing exactly how the Obama administration, in conjunction with the DOJ and the FBI, went completely out of bounds on using this unverified information from an opposing campaign, funneling it up to the top levels of the FBI, then using that as a predicate to go after the opposing candidate. That is election meddling, and that's why it's so frustrating, because when you say, hey, it's election meddling what they did, then they just kind of look at you with a blank stare and go, Trump's a fascist. You kind of have to think to yourself, what part of abuse of power don't you understand when it comes to the FBI and the DOJ and how they work together with all these people signing off on these warrants based off of the Steele dossier, which came from Fusion GPS, who happened to be being run by Glenn Simpson and happened to have Bruce Orr's wife there working basically full time, and it's Bruce Orr, don't forget, the fourth in charge of the DOJ, who's talking directly to that top brass at the FBI. We have a lot to go, but we'll see how that turns out. So I'll leave that link if you guys want to rewatch that, or, you know. All right, now the next one is a tweet from Valerie Jarrett, where she says, to all of the survivors of sexual assault and women who wonder if they will be believed if they are attacked, know there's a growing, powerful movement of support that will always have your back. We believe you. We will stand with you. We will defend you. Change is coming. Listen, I could almost share the sentiment of saying, yes, if you are attacked, yes, we would like to support you and believe in women who have actually been attacked. But if you come forward and there is absolutely no evidence that can be found, and the claim is decades old and we can't really verify it, then we can't just accept that that's true. You have to have some scrap or shred of evidence. And this is how they twist it. See, now she's twisting it to just, get people going to say, oh yeah, if you're for Republicans, if you're for the other side, then obviously you're not for defending women. It's just completely insane, because I would bet like 99% of Republicans you'd ask on the street, would you support somebody who is a victim or a survivor of sexual assault? They would say, yes, of course. But of course you need due process. You have to have evidence to prove that there is a crime that happened. You can't just believe every single one, because then you're just saying, then people don't lie. And then they're the ones who are naive for believing that. So this is just the most naive statement I've ever read, and Q wants to address Valerie. It says, change is coming, which is the last phrase of that tweet, and that's definitely a message saying that people are going to start getting examined closer. But this is a Judicial Watch article which talks about, we've talked about this before, there are FBI files that document communism in Valerie Jarrett's family. Now this isn't like some funny thing to me. Communism is a very real, it's just as much of a threat as it was back then, because the same implications are there if communism or socialism or any of these other types of, authoritarian dictatorships would take over. Even if they claim to be egalitarian and equality for all, that's just a bunch of you-know-what, because there is no such thing as, socialist utopias or communist utopias. So when we look at Valerie Jarrett's background, that is a very important thing. She's the top advisor to the former president of the United States, and it's been implied that her working in conjunction with Obama and the rest has basically shaped policy that has undermined the core principle structures of our country, including the Constitution and what it represents. So this is a great article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you want to read it, you can read about how her dad had ties to the Communist Party, basically communist sympathizing groups, and there's just a whole history there, right? So you can go read this for yourself. It's an old Judicial Watch article, which we talked about here on the show before. So Q says, goodbye, Valerie Jarrett Q. There you go. All right, now the next one is very important. We've talked about this one before too, but these things are coming back into the news, hopefully, now that we have Kavanaugh on the court and we're getting somewhere. Once the FISA is released, it's going to uncover that there were a lot of people who are doing a lot of wrong. But then you have to go the next step and say, what was in Anthony Weiner's laptop? What connection between Hillary Clinton Foundation and crimes against children can be found? This is verbatim. You guys, this is actually out of the Inspector General's report, right? So if you go down to page 294, which, go down here really quick. But if you go down to page 294, it lays all of this out, right? It shows notes that were taken by people who were in the know and who were basically sitting and briefing Director Comey and others, right? And what did they get briefed on in this one morning that's written about here in the documents? And it says, Anthony Weiner unrelated Weiner, texting 15-year-old, sexually explicit. And then it talks about here, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. And then Q points out all of the important parts that we want to take away from this. So page 294, it's the meeting between Comey and Coleman on October 1st. Okay? Coleman is working at the FBI. And it says, Coleman told us that he could not recall this briefing with Comey. Coleman's notes from October 4th contain the following entry. Anthony Weiner, sick, unrelated, Weiner, sick, it's basically saying the name for, and then texting 15-year-old, sexually explicit, and then it's saying September 26th, federal search warrant, iPhone, iPad, laptop. It says initial analysis of laptop, thousands of emails, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children, plus, plus, plus. Now, when Q puts plus, 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 that could mean something with the House of Saud. That's the marker I think they have in the plus, 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 plus. It's like the 1, 2, 3, which would be the Rothschilds, Soros, and the House of Saud. These are the three main individuals that have been named by Q in the past, right? So there's a connection there, I think, with it says crimes against children with the House of Saud, because we always talk about Alice in Wonderland being Hillary, and Hillary is Hillary in Saudi Arabia. That's been made quite apparent. It goes on to quote from the article, or from the IG report. We asked Coleman about these notes, and he told us that given their placement in his notebook, the notes would most likely represent information he was briefed on first thing in the morning by his subordinates in the Criminal Investigation Division, which is obviously, when Q puts these pluses around it, that makes me think it's been there's been some placement of individuals inside who are basically like Comey and others who basically have, it would seem, according to this, have turned a blind eye to the crimes that they were investigating. And that's what we're going to be uncovering, assumably in the future. This is what is being said here. It's saying Comey told us that he did not recall the briefing by Coleman reflected in his calendar. We asked Comey if this briefing could have been the time in early October that he recalled being told about the connection between mid-year and the Weiner investigation. Comey stated, it's possible, this is what is knocking around in the back of my head, but I really I know the frailty of memory from having done a lot of this work. At least in my memory, it's much more of an informal than a meeting about it, but it's possible. That's just a way of skirting around what he's saying, I believe. But anyway, it says, we showed Coleman's notes from October 4th to Comey. Comey did not recall being briefed on the information contained in the notes. And then Q says, I do not recall. I don't recall. I do not recall. And it says, these people deserve, and then it's got the brackets here, which means justice, I would say. Then it says, these people are sick. We are the cure. Patriots in control. The world will know the truth. Q. All right, so there you go. I mean, putting this all together, it's pretty straightforward. What it seems like we're going to be investigating soon in the future is, what were Coleman's notes referring to? Is there a connection between the Saudis and Hillary and some sort of crime against children? We'll have to see. But that is what is being implied here. And I don't know about you, but I, for one, just want to know the truth. Because, I don't understand how anybody in their right mind, knowing what happened with Anthony Weiner and then having this out there, wouldn't want to investigate it further. If it's true, why wouldn't you want to take a stand and try to stop this, right? If it's all just unverified and we're all just Pizzagate on bath salts, I mean, wouldn't you at least want to look into it and say, if you're willing to go off of Judge Ford, like, here's a great example. Christine Ford, okay, she made these claims, and the Democrats are willing to go 100% based off of her, just her word, no real evidence, took a polygraph, didn't even mention Kavanaugh. There wasn't anything really there to prove beside it having be he said versus she said. Now, if they can do an entire investigation, extend a confirmation and wait on that, why in the world would they not want to go and investigate this further? If not, if anything, you investigate it, there's nothing there, and then we know that it's okay, and we're just going off of their own logic, right? Because they'll just investigate anything, baseless accusations. So that's, that's my take on it, and I think that we really need to keep investigating and keep keep figuring out the truth right now, because this is really what needs to get solved. It's really about protecting children at this point when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I don't know. I just don't know how you could be against that. But I just want to say thank you all for watching. Stick around for a minute. We got a few things to go over. If you'd like to help out the channel, best way to do it is to come here, click the big red subscribe button. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Also, watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out there. That helps out too. Also, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights down in the comments, because at the end of each one of these videos, we try to have our own QAnon research board. So even if you can't comment, scroll down and read through the comments. It's going to have a lot more information from a great set of people. So that's definitely cool. A couple other ways you can find Just Informed Talk on Twitter at Justin_formed. Again, that's Just Informed Talk on Twitter at Justin_formed. And you get all the articles from the website, you get the videos from YouTube, and you get the great tweets from me, of course. And the website is over here. It's justinformednews.com. So when you go there, you just check it out. Let me know what you think. And that's definitely cool. So also, a couple other ways you can help out the channel are to go here to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. And when you come here, you just search Just Informed Talk. When you get to this page, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. And yes, they demonetize my videos on a regular basis, so I do depend on you guys to help out and support the channel. And you guys who come together to do that, I can't tell you how much I'm thankful. So when you come here, you can give as little as $1, give as much as you want on a monthly basis, but know that you're helping create this content every single day, 24/7, 360. Also, if you're not for the whole monthly thing, I totally understand, but you still want to help out because demonetization is real. You can come over here to GoFundMe. I put up this page. It's gofundme.com/just-informed. Links will be in the description. Click that button. You can make an anonymous one-time donation and just help the channel out, because I need you guys to contribute, and I really appreciate when you do. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate that. Now, before we go, we're going to take 1 second to talk about the most important thing, and that is God's grace and how it is greater. I have this great verse I want to share with you, and I'll just read it to you, and then we'll talk about it for a second. It's from Proverbs, and it's chapter 11, verses 18 through 20. And it talks about the wicked, and I think it's good to always put a reference in there to say, God tells us what will happen to individuals who do these awful atrocities against children. We put it to God. So this is what God says: the wicked man earns an empty wage, but the one who sows righteousness a true reward. Genuine righteousness leads to life, but pursuing evil leads to death. Those with twisted minds are detestable to the Lord, but those with blameless conduct are his delight. And it's simple. See, the Lord even tells us through Scripture that the wicked are undeserving of anything other than the punishment that awaits them from the Lord. But here on earth, we can do our best to expose it and hope that justice can be served, at least until the real justice, the final justice, when they meet their Father in heaven, and then vengeance will be the Lord, as he says. So I just, I put my faith in God, and I want to live a righteous life, and I hope you guys do your best to live a righteous life for yourselves too. And as long as we continue to do that and work forward in that way, God will definitely continue to bless us, as long as we reach out to him and live by his teaching. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure, if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, come here, click the big red subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. So thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.